If you're comfortable that it's not presenting much of a risk, then why not bring in family and friends too? Especially when you think if they're sitting on some cash, what they're likely to be getting in a building society at the moment is pretty negligible. So they'll not need much of an enhancement from you for it to be worth their while, and still be cheaper for you to borrow from them than borrowing elsewhere. I talked about new machines and new vehicles, but the most natural source there is HP or lease finance. It's great if you can buy these things out of your ongoing resources, but I'm of the opinion that an overdraft should be for working capital, for things that go up and down, that change from month to month, and that if you are acquiring an asset, then finance it, unless you're sitting on lots of cash, finance it through either a lease or HP. Because if it's cash flow that you're looking to get, then that's what your overdraft is for, and where invoice financing can give you a bit of a boost. As I said before, the way it operates is that a factoring company comes in, undertakes to do your collection, gives you the cash a little bit earlier, and that gives that short-term boost to your balance sheet. Also helps you get through some seasonal fluctuations, but then again, that's what an overdraft's for, really. Now, I talked about where to look, so let's look and see where we look. Building societies. So they're not under so much pressure as banks to rebuild their balance sheets. They're looking to make a decent return. Some of them are feeling quite smug because, for instance, where I come from, the Newcastle Business Society, the Newcastle Building Society, watched its bigger brother Northern Rock convert to a bank and get much, much bigger, but now is rather having the last laugh. So building society is looking to expand their portfolio and take on commercial property finance. So, what do you think of that one? Public sector funding, I have touched on. Business links, local councils, they will be looking to do, especially at the smaller end, business support in the way of grants and sometimes loans as well. Soft loans I've looked at. If you've got a social objective, looking to perhaps boost sustainability amongst your customer base, then an organisation like the Carbon Trust could be a surprising source of finance. And then finally, equity finance, where there's both business angels and venture capital investors. Now, I brought a little book here, which is the sort of thing that you should be able to find in any area. This one relates to the northeast, but it's quite a big book with all these different sources of angel finance, equity finance. I'll have it at the front if anybody wants to come and have a look. But it covers equity financing, loans, grants, business support, and it's got a section on business angels. And this sort of information will be available in each region. As I say, often your business link is a good portal in. They should have a search engine which should link to some similar sort of document for your own particular area. And I said family and friends, but please do remember that important caveat. Keep it formal. Don't just say, I know you got £10,000 in your aunt's will last month. Could I just borrow it because my business could really do with it, and I'll let you have it back as soon as I'm finished. It's best to get something a little bit more formal in place for everybody's comfort, really. Asset finance and HP, there are not just the businesses that are attached to the banks that a bank would be happy to introduce you to. There's a load of other businesses making a lot of money at the moment in making this sort of finance available. Sadly, they're making money because their rates are quite beneficial for them. But then the other side of the coin is the finance is available, and when you offset the fact that the risk is somewhere else other than your bank, it keeps the bank paying a little less attention to you, And the most important thing, I think, for HB and asset finance is that it's manageable. It's great for budgeting, knowing every month for this vehicle it's going to be this much, for these computers it's going to be this much. Because monitoring cash flow has never been more important than at the current time. And perhaps that's where invoice financing can come in, because it can give you that bit more certainty, a little bit more certainty of what income you're going to have. Again, if you're in that sort of business. And credit cards. I know that the days of near 0% finance for 10 months have gone, and every time I see an offer nowadays of balance transfers, there's always that little catch that there's a transfer fee. And of course, if you make purchases on your card, then interest starts applying, repayments are applied to your loan, not to those purchases. So they'll catch you with interest or excessive interest there. So if you're going to do credit cards, use credit cards for finance, which I know a lot of smaller businesses have done, then make sure that you play the game carefully. And if you are able to take advantage of a 0% finance, don't muddle by making other purchases on that card, which will then clip you for interest being payable. And we talked about asset finance, so I thought I'd just like to see the sort of asset finance that might be a bit tricky to get short-term finance. You might need to take us over perhaps a longer period, but it will get you to appointments a little bit quicker than a Fiesta. Right, scouting for boys time. Be prepared. As I say, this is where I hope I can give you some hints and tips. I will do for time. Right, I was involved with a group in the Northeast that brought the regional heads of banks together in 2009 to come up with a leaflet that I've got a copy of here. That is available for businesses to make sure that they are best prepared to put their case to a bank. So this is what banks want from people going to see them. And it can be summed up in 5 headings. They're looking for confirmation of character. So that means you tell them who's involved in the business, why they're suitable, what experience they've got, the track record that they've got. You want to talk about performance. So that's the performance of those individuals and of the business. And with particular relevance to your requirements. That's the third heading, requirements. What do you want this funding for? Is it for a new product? Is it for a long-term expansion? You've got to tell them what it's for. And because it's so important, this area, you need to tell them what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of your business are, known as your SWOT analysis. You'll need to give them your annual accounts for the last 3 years. You need to show them what you expect things to look like in the next 3 years. And you might need to show them what your up-to-date balance sheet looks like and how your cash flow is looking. You need to show that you can manage the serviceability of this. So they expect you to be able to repay your finance, and they will want you to be able to justify the period that you're doing it over, and also that the bank is likely to be happy. They're unlikely to want to take over 15 years finance that's largely around some IT changes, for instance. And then finally, security. They want to know what sort of security they're putting up, because sadly, while banks are charged on the one hand by against cable with lending more to businesses, or lending as much as they did in 2008, they're also charged, on the other hand, with getting strength back in the balance sheets. And we're all seeing the results of that in renewal fees going up, interest charges going up. The days of 2 or 2.5% over base are long gone. The average is now 6 over base. And the more a bank asks for is a reflection of how they view you as a risk. So if they're asking you for a big figure, then you should ask them what it is that they see, why it is that they see you as a higher risk, and you might be able to address that. So you can take advice. I said at the early part, good